Alrighty, so here we are with Coco again, and tried this a couple times, but weather was never good enough for me to set up my camera, and we're having enough time in between storms or wind, so I have it set up in the truck over there in case the winds do pop up, which they seem to go from nothing to hunker down and pray in about 3.5 seconds. So I have that in the truck, and hopefully this works today, and we'll see how Coco does. She's getting towards the end here, and Lord gave me another day here to be able to try and take this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through some of the groundwork with her, and I know I'm in the round pen here, but with her club foot and with her neck a little bit off kilter from, I don't know if it's a birth thing or what happened. It's been nothing ever happened that they've had her for quite a while now, so it must be just some sort of birth thing that she's just kind of like stuck right there. But when I'm on slants or something, she stumbles and has a bit of a trouble on it. So this is about the flattest piece I have here. It's a little bit of a slant. I have flatter land over there, but it's in the middle of really deep sand, and that doesn't help her either. So we're going to have to deal with being in the round pen here. And at least for part of it, I might try and take her up into the pasture there on some of the obstacles a little bit later. We'll see what happens with her. So anyway, I want to be able to go through some of the groundwork here and get her warmed up and ready to go. I already have her saddled. As you can see, she still doesn't flex really well here through this pole. She's way better than she was. She can actually bend and stuff like that, but it's just not entirely there. So she's not going to be 100% correct, but for her, she's doing wonderful and she's doing great, and you're going to see some of the stuff that I do to kind of help her still stay balanced and get through stuff. I asked her to back up here. She's getting softer and she's starting to come through and lift up, but she just can't give quite a vertical. It's just, even on her own, catching flies or eating or anything like that, she can't do it there either. So it's not something that she's afraid. She's not afraid of much, except missing a meal, huh? So anyway, I just kind of work through just a few things. I'm just going to show you some stuff that she can do. Come off of this pressure here. Follow this around. Want to be able to just do the basic things, you know, be able to throw a rope on her, because her daddy might want to do some healing on her someday, as long as she can handle that. So I want to make sure that, you know, ropes moving around her and all that kind of stuff is all alright. Getting around her feet, and I've done all that stuff in the past too. Roped her feet, made sure she was okay with that. And if I'm walking her and Surrender together, I purposely kind of get their lines tangled up and get Surrender around behind her a little bit on purpose, so that if that ever happens, she doesn't freak out when she's if she is roping up. I always get amazed when sometimes I'll get in a horse that's been a roping horse for a long time, and you put a rope around behind them and they freak out. I'm like, whoa. You know, or you put a rope on their foot and they're like come unglued and they're bucking and rearing and falling over. So you don't want to have that. You want to make sure that your horse is okay if they get hung up in something. You know, if they're riding along out here, and I know even on my property here, I haven't been here that long, so I'm still fixing it. But you know, I'll be walking around and there'll be a piece of wire out there, and you know, if I'm not paying attention, it could get stuck in that wire, and if they panic, you could have a dead horse basically, because they could just rip the bejeebies out of their leg. So you want to make sure that they're okay with stuff around their feet and get hung up in something, or if they fall in a foxhole. I have foxholes and badger holes or whatever they are all over the place out here, and if they're walking and, you know, it's possible I'll miss one or they'll miss one and they might put a foot in there. You don't want them to panic when they're in there. You want them to stay calm. So you've all seen all those videos that I have on, you know, roping the feet and stuff, so that's all that important thing. You want to make sure you can rub your horses all over. With her, that's really not an issue. You can touch her and rub her everywhere. She just kind of thinks it's the best thing in the world. You want to be able to take their tail and make sure they're nice and I've been teaching her how to back up to the tail. So she's doing that nicely for me. Thank you, Princess. But I want to be able to lift that tail and make sure that she's comfortable with me back here. Just all that kind of stuff. You want to be able to get in their mouth, grab their tongue, because one day that vet or that dentist that you have is going to be really thankful that this is doable, so that they don't have to chase the horse around or have the horse, you know, getting all upset about it. You want to be able to inspect their eyeballs. You want to be able to get inside their ears, say hello. So you want to be able to get all over your horse and do all sorts of stuff. You know, wave your arms around, whatever you need to do. Something people yell at me all the time for, because you shouldn't do that, but everybody I know has some kid or grandkid or the mom or wife or somebody wants to walk underneath their horse. Shortcut, you know, they're brushing on this side and then they want to get over here. Now, a lot of horses, when you do that, when you go underneath that blind spot from one side to the other, they're going to freak out. So I do these things because I expect people to do it. So I'm going to do it to the horse so that if the person does it, it's no big deal. You can see when she moves here a little bit, it looks a little funny on her neck. She's all right though. Sometimes she seems like she's pushing on you, but when she turns, she can't just turn the neck as well as most, but again, she's way better. So sometimes that shoulder will kind of come into you, but you want to be able to get underneath here. And you know, that farrier might want to pick up in a weird position or do something funny. So when I do these colts, I make sure I can do all that nonsense stuff that you're not really supposed to do, but everybody does, so I make sure it's doable. All right, so that part done. And you can see too, people always say, well, how do you teach your horse to ground tie? I didn't teach her to ground tie. I taught her when we're doing something, this is what we do. When I put her feet in certain places, if I put her up on a pedestal or up on a little log or something like that, just relax and stand here for a while. I might be doing something. When I'm saddling her, I'll put the saddle on and I'll futz. I'll pull my strings over here and I'll pull the strings up. Yeah, I know you think you're going to get scratched. Pull the strings over here. Then I'll change sides. Then I'll pull my cinch down and I'll move around. And you know, I'll just do all sorts of stuff and I'll just keep futzing back and forth. What you don't want to do is throw that saddle up there and hurry up, you know, tie it and cinch it and oh God, hold still and tie them, you know, like a noose to the rail or something. If you can saddle your horse like this, you're good. You can tie him. I know. You can tie him if you can do that. But don't tie them because you have to tie them. Tie them because you're on the middle of a busy street and you have to saddle your horse, and just in case something spooks them, you might have that extra 30 seconds of a second or something like that to get a hold of them before they're out in traffic. But you want your horse to be able to stand ground tied as much as you want. So, that being said, I always check all my stuff, and you're going to see, because of her front and because of her neck, she's going to look a little different on some of these things doing these yieldings, and that's okay. I take each horse into consideration, where they are and what they can do. I don't care if they have a limit. People have limits. Everybody has limits. I'm going to help her be the best that she can be for what she has. And she's a wonderful horse. So I'm going to still do all the same stuff. I'm going to ask for this front end to pivot. I'm not going to pull her head around. I'm going to move my left hand only if I need to plant that foot. Everything else is just right there. I stop, she stops. She likes to be petted. There's not much. She doesn't like to be petted on. Alright, I'm going to move the front end around. Just took a step forward there. That's not what I wanted. I'm going to get in the best position I can. And you're going to see she gets a little stumbly sometimes on that right front. And I just help her. And this actually took a while, getting her to rotate around here. There you go. Because when that club foot's underneath her, it's a little weird. She can't balance on it quite right. So when she's doing that, it kind of looks a little funny. And sometimes she's better than others. Now, lateral movements. Again, she's not going to be in the proper position, but I want to be able to make sure that I can move her sideways. So I think about the front and the hind. She says, pet me. Front and the hind, and the front and the hind. She's not much of a hurry to do much of nothing most of the time. Bring her back over here. I did one side. Do the other side. Doesn't matter what order you do it in. I'm just going to do this so that you can see what I'm doing. There you go. I know. So you got a piece of apple or something on your jeans there, Mom. All right. Now I'm going to help her get situated here before I ask her to put her hind quarter. There you go. She was just trying to pull her to come towards me there. There. All right. Now, I'm going to yield that hind quarter. Talk to it back here. She's like, you're talking so much, I don't know what you want. Just me being pretty quiet and attentive to her. Now this right front foot, she's not going to be able to plant quite as well as the left front foot. So I just let her do what she needs to do on it. And don't get crazy about it. We're not in some dressage competition or something like that. She doesn't need to be a perfect plant right now. It would physically probably hurt her. Okay, and then again, sideways this way. Okay, eventually. Sometimes it takes her a minute to get balanced. Front, hind, front, hind. Eventually, there. So, when I'm doing fronts and hinds, what I don't do, what I'll see some people do when I say front, hind, is they'll do front, hind, and they think, no. I just feel through me, I want to think about the front foot and the hind foot, the front foot and the hind foot. In my body, I do that just as if I'm riding, and we think of the hind and the front and the hind and the front and the hind and the front. Doesn't mean I do hind, front, just means I have that rhythm throughout my body. Want to be able to unwind her. Normally I do all this groundwork without the saddle, but because of the time, the video, I didn't want to do too much there. Bring it around. Now I want her hind quarter, front. Thank you, baby girl. Go, huh? Okay. You do on one side, you do on the other. Now, in the beginning, this was real hard. She only ever wanted to move the front end. She never wanted to move the back end. So it took a little bit for her to be able to move the hind end first. And every once in a while, she still messes up. And that's all right. Hind, plant behind, move the front. Okay, want her to be able to follow this feel. Now you're going to see here, sometimes she's going to get that shoulder into me. Now I want to change, but I want to drive that shoulder out away from me. That's where people make mistakes. They think their horse is running them over. And it's hard to see on her because she does get out of balance and that neck doesn't turn right. But still, you're going to watch her. She's going to try and go out away from me when she makes that turn. A lot of people will take her and they'll go, my horse is running me over, I can't get him to do it. Because you're pulling them on top of you. You want to drive them out away from you. Take this, drive them out. Sorry, honey. It's like you stopped, you're talking. I know. Keep going. She was having mare days the last couple days, so she was really cranky for a couple days, so she's actually doing really nice for me today, at least so far. Want to be able to back her up, because again, her dad might want a rope off of her if she's able to do it. So when he's down there doing that cow, if she decides to come up, that's what you doing on the ground. If she decides to come up and he needs to get her to set that cow again, he just needs to, ask her to set back and set that cow. That's the idea of wiggling that rope. Some people think, what the heck are you wiggling the rope for? Because when you're down here working on a cow or doing something, you need them to hold that. If they come forward, forgot to turn my sound off, sorry. When they come forward, you can just ask them to help you until they really learn their job. Eventually, they're going to do it better than you can. They're going to see that cow getting ready to move, or they're going to know what tension they need to do. But in the beginning, when they're learning how to hold that cow and stuff, they need to, they might need a little bit of feedback from you. Alright, so also want to be able to clean their feet. These little case knives are really handy. Just has a little hoof pick on there. You can keep it on your belt. Along with everything else I keep on my belt. Now she's leaning in towards me, but I'll see if she'll make an adjustment herself. She did. Thank you very much, honey bun. Clean her feet. Now I ask a little bit of her to pick up opposite feet at times. Oh, you got a rock in there. Her club foot tends to grab a lot of rocks. So, and I'll come around and do that club foot also in a minute. But I want to be able to pick up on opposite sides, same sides. Now sometimes she loses her balance back here. And she'll get a little futzy. She has to balance now on that front. Should clean up this one. And then I'll come back up and clean this one a little better. Here you go, sweetheart. Now that they're getting her started, they'll be able to start working on keeping this front foot, start whittling it down a little bit at a time until that heel comes down more. And when you do it gradual, you don't try and do it overnight, you can sometimes get a pretty good reversal on that, especially if you work on riding her as proper as you can too. But if you cut it too fast, getting that heel down, you're going to mess up those tendons because they've been in that position for so long. So a little bit at a time. I know. Alright. And then go over here. I'm going to see if she'll stay there. Sometimes she follows me. She thinks she's supposed to. So I help her stay. Don't get crazy if she doesn't. I just help her stay. Get my bridle. Kind of turn her here a little bit for you. Good girl. Alright, now, especially when I'm in a confined area, people are always worried about bridling their horse and taking that halter off, and you know, when they take it off, what's going to happen? The horse is going to run away. Every time you're in a safe place, take that halter off, you know, and trust them. The more you trust them to stand there, the more they will. And that way, if something happens when you're out, you know, they're not going to just run away like, freedom, yay! You never take that sucker off. So, there's a helicopter coming. It might get loud here in a second. So I'm going to take that off of there and let her stand here. Where's she going to go? We're in a 50-foot round pen. I ordered a 60-foot. I just got the wrong size. All right. Yes, thank you. Wait for me. There we go. Sometimes they don't wait for you to get the bit right. They just start taking things in their mouth. Now again, I usually have them, I guess you can hear me over the helicopter, I can't hear myself, but you might be able to. I try and get them down and tilted over when I put that bit in their mouth, but because she can't physically tip, not very well, I don't ask a whole lot of that. I don't get too crazy on it because it just won't work. Fix this. I don't like the buckle underneath them like that. Just slip somewhere. Here's your, there you go. Alright, so you can see way back when I did that first one. You know, I can tip her head a lot more. It's still not tipping it quite the right place, but it's better. It's a lot softer. She's a lot more compliant to it. A lot of adjustments on my bridle every time I do anything with it because I got one that'll fit a variety of horses, so I have a lot of adjustments on it. Alright, now let that stand there. And what I'm going to do is, since I'm out here in the middle of nowheres, or almost, and usually by myself when I'm doing this, I started wearing quite a lot of protective equipment, because you never know. I don't care who you are, you can come off. See if she'll stand there for a minute. And I'll go get dressed. Somebody wants to laugh at me for my equipment, that's fine. I don't come off too often, but I could. So, I wore my little crash vest. It's really not that hot, believe it or not. And my helmet. And now with her, I'll use a massage whip here sometimes. Just kind of helps her a little bit. I can just get a little bit more particular. I can just give a little tap, kind of help her out if she gets out of balance or something. Now, I check my cinch. Get this sucker out of the way first. Again, I'm not careful about things. I make sure I don't spook them on purpose, but I don't pussyfoot around too much. Now, if I make this too tight, she won't be very happy. But if I make it too loose, I'll fall off. Just one more. Let's go, girly. Now, I don't care how good your horse is, how long you've had them. Every time you make an adjustment on your cinch, take them a couple steps. Anything could go pinchy or funny. You could surprise them when they walk off. Always take a step or two. I don't care if you take them one step back or one step forward if they're a long time horse, but do something. Don't just, my braid's stuck in my vest. Don't just jump up as soon as you make that adjustment. Now, teach her to pick me up on the fence, because there have been times, and again, I don't know what kind of damage has been done or what's on with her, you know, probably again from birth or something, or maybe something happened when she was just a wee little pup. Not that she's much older than a wee pup anyway. I think she's what, 3 or 4 or something, I don't remember. But she sometimes doesn't like that torque at all on her back, and I'm pretty good at getting up and down. I don't weigh a whole lot, but even just that little bit can sometimes make her go, ah! So, I teach all my horses to pick me up on the fence or on a rock or whatever, but her especially, I get up on a rail. So, I'll climb up on my rail here. Now also, because of her little glitch at times, what I'll do, honey, I need your butt a little bit further. You're a little far out there, kid. Hello. Almost. That's all right. She's usually pretty good. I've been talking so much, she's falling asleep on me. There we go. Okay. So what I'll do to make sure, because a couple times I have went to get on her, and she'll have this, she's uncomfortable. I don't know if it's something on her back or whatever. The saddle's a little bit offset. Usually if I get on, I'll just sit sideways on her for half a second. If she decides to walk off, I know she's not ready for me to get on. And I'll take off the saddle, I'll resaddle it, make sure everything's in a good position. And then she's usually really good. She's not one that walks off. So if she does, I know there's an issue. And then I don't get on. I fix it first. If your horse doesn't give you permission to get on, don't. I always say don't rape your horse. Alright. Down there, this up here. My thingy. Oh, wait for me, sweetheart. Okay. Now, walk off here a little bit. Again, some concessions for her because of her, slight challenges. Not excuses, but I help her out. Somebody in a wheelchair can play basketball, but maybe not the same as somebody that's not. Doesn't mean they can't do it. Just means they need to do it a little different. No big deal. Not that she's in a wheelchair, but you know what I'm saying. I stop riding, I expect her to stop riding. I'm going to sit here and I wait like I always do on my horses. Butts around a little bit. The jeans are sticking to me because it's kind of humid. I pick up my reins, nice and light. Again, I can't really ask for too much vertical flexion. I'm going to ask that left hind quarter to move over. So I'm just going to use my left ab and my left hip there and then my left leg until she decides to wake up. Sometimes it takes her a second when I first get on to get her balance, and that's okay. I usually don't start off on the right on her because of that foot. So I help her understand things here a little bit on the left. It'll take a minute or two sometimes when I first get on her until she's organized, and that's okay. She's a baby. I don't expect. It's hot and humid, Auntie Val. Okay, walk her around here a second. And you'll see the cadence is a little bit off. As long as she stays comfortable, I'm alright with that. I turn, hind, front, hind, front, hind, front. Look at surrender. Keep going forward. I turn to the left, find that left hind, left hind. I always stay in timing with my horse's feet, especially when they have these little issues here. She's like, I'm tired. Do you have to go potty again? Sometimes she has to go potty and stops. Sometimes she might just be tired. Okay, so I just want to make sure. Let's keep moving, princess. So, always know where those feet are. Left hind, left front, left hind, left front, left hind, left front, straight, right, left, right front, right hind, right front, right hind. Try and feel it, understand it, help her get organized. She's very heavy on that forehand at times. She'll start falling downhill. When she starts falling downhill, life starts going really awry. So I just kind of support myself and lift, and then she gets really slow because she feels me hesitating and lifting. She's a baby. She'll get all this as time goes, but I want her to use her core. I'll use my core, use my whole body. Get right. So every little change I make in my body, she feels it and she'll follow along with me. I stop riding, she stops riding. Even at this point, I don't have to pull on my horse. I don't pull on her to stop her. I stop moving. She might run into my hands, which she didn't even run into my hands, but she might. Then I'm going to lift up in my abs and draw backwards. It's harder to see, I know, when I'm wearing this thing, but whoops, she gets crooked going backwards sometimes. That's all right. I'm going to wait on her, help her. She gets locked up, and that's all right. I'll wait for her. I'm not going to yell at her. I'm not going to kick her. I'm not going to push on her. I'm just going to wait on her. She's running into my hands. I'm not pulling on her. She's running into my hands. There we go. And then she'll settle down into it. So I don't know if you've ever had like your elbow kind of lock, like you're like, it just feels funny. And you just got to like push it through. And sometimes that's what she feels like through with her neck, or especially when she's going backwards. She'll kind of get into that little locked position, and then all of a sudden, like, sometimes you can even hear it. And then it kind of breaks through, and then she can move again. That's all right. Now I'm going to lift up kind of. I'm going to take that left front, take it out, right across, left out, right across, left out, right across, and then I'm going to walk her forward eventually. I'm tired. Right front, left front, right front, left front, right hind. Always know where they are all the time. Whoops. Started and tripped at the same time. I'm going to walk right towards you best I can. Get her straight. And I'm going to find, I know you were thinking about going that way. Right hind. Come on, princess, wake up. She's usually not this slow. She's been so cranky the last couple days. I think she's just happy to be out of season. There we go. A little bit of lateral movement. It's easier if I do it when she's kind of moving. Again, it's not really great right now. It's completely wrong, actually. But I want her to understand. I shouldn't say completely wrong, but I want her to understand. There, she's out of balance. There we go. And then she gets it. Just how to move off of me laterally. Over time, when she gets better and better, that lateral movement gets better and better. Come on, sweetheart. Find it. There we go. Just takes her a time or two sometimes. Now she's all catawampus. I'm going to help her find that center again. What we're doing is falling. There, almost. There we go. She'll get into that falling sideways, especially if we're in the pasture or riding out, which I don't do a whole lot of, because as soon as we get on an angle, she just kind of starts to fall in that direction, and it takes a while for her to get her balance to get back up again. She doesn't like these rocks. She needs shoes for this place, but where she lives, she doesn't have all these rocks, so she'll be fine when she gets home. But she, it's kind of like when you're driving on black ice or something. You know, you're driving along and all of a sudden you just kind of start sliding until you get traction again. And that's kind of what she's like when you're getting on some of these hills, especially if you're on an angle, and even worse if you're on an angle towards that right front. She'll just start like getting that slippery feeling, and it takes her a while to get her feet back underneath her. She doesn't do anything wrong. She's just trying to get her balance out from underneath her. And then as soon as she does, then she's good to go. She doesn't panic or anything like that. She just feels like you're sliding on ice. So, as we walk on here again. Again, talking to that right front. Now I'm going to stop. Rock. Wait for. It's alright. She has to figure out how to go the other way. There we go. Tip. And rolling out of it. Yeah, she's had trouble twice now, kind of going backwards. So I'm going to walk forward. I'm going to roll into a back. You got it, girl. Now if I start pulling harder or get after her, she could rear up. Don't want to do that. There we go. Now I'm going to make a slight turn. I'm going to walk forward. Stop and rock back. Come on, sweetheart. I'll wait on her. There we go. Gonna help her do this. Here we go. It's alright to watch this. Take another front end across. Walk forward a little bit. Stop. Rock back. I try not to until they're really good. Walk forward straight out of a backup. That teaches them to only do like that little California stop thing, where they just kind of stop and walk forward and then never really get stopped. So I always make some sort of a turn. There we go. Prepare. What I might do is tap a little bit on her butt. There you go. Let me fix that. She gets her head up so high it gets that in a funny position. I know her dad wants to ride her in a hackamore, and I have a Boselle hackamore, but because of her nose position, And the fact that she can't get straight, it doesn't sit right on her. So I use the snaffle. Over time, she'll be all right. She's just having problems today with this going backwards, and she has had a couple really rough days, being all cranky and having issues with being in season. I mean, really cranky. I was like, where'd you come from? So, and back is not an easy thing for her. Sideways was not an easy thing for her. So you'll see how I just kind of work through this here and help her do it a few times. There you go. Take a step over. You'll see how through just a little bit of patience here, she'll get better and better at it. There we go. When she gives me a real good effort there, I'll just kind of stop and give her a breather. These things aren't made for women's bodies, so the Velcro is always sticking out and getting stuck on everything I have. That a girly girl. All right. Gather up, sit up, walk forward. And you see, I really don't have to kick her much. Sometimes I might have to help her get straight when she goes forward. But I don't kick her to go forward. I don't pull her to stop. I don't yank her to turn unless there's some emergency. And back up. Weight on her. Gather my reins. Just that they're a little bit more connected to me. There we go. Good job. So you saw there too, what a lot of people do is they'll pick up these reins and then they'll ask the horse to go back. They'll kind of have a little bit of pressure on there and then they feel like they need to get more rein, so they'll drop the rein and they'll regather. You don't have to do that. In fact, you shouldn't do that. So if you're down too far and you're there, just keep that steady pressure and climb down the rail, or the rein, sorry, climb down the reins without, hang in there, you got it, there she goes. She just gets out of balance. Climb down the reins without throwing them away. Don't change your pressure on them. There shouldn't be much pressure on there anyway, but don't throw them away and regather. Okay. Now I'm going to try her right hind. And again, same as on the ground. I don't get too persnickety about that right front foot, getting it pivoting. Just as long as she does all right. There we go. So anyway, these are a lot of things I can do with her. And it took me most of the first month just to get her to where I could bend her a little bit. I'll take her in these little circles. Try and get her lifting there as best I can. I don't want her falling forward on that forehand more than I need to. Take her in to a smaller circle. Don't let her fall too hard. Then I'm going to take her and push her out of that circle into a bigger circle. And then continue on that circle. All the stuff I do with all the adult horses, I just give her a little, there you go. See how there's this little slant right there, and how she had a moment of kind of stepping quicker on that right front. Take this circle. Are they perfect circles? No. Do I care at this point? No, I just work towards the perfection. But I don't come unglued when it's not. Because every day she gets better, unless she's in season. Okay, bring that down. Then again, hind, front, hind, front, hind, front. And the adjustments in my body are so slight, you probably really can't even see what the heck I'm doing. She's just moving. But it's just a difference between I'm thinking forward and now I'm thinking lateral. I don't go crazy trying to do all sorts of stuff and move around a lot. The more I move around, the more she has to try and rebalance me. She has enough trouble as it is. I don't need to add to it. Go the other way a little bit. can actually bend around me now. Before it was like a block wall going the opposite direction. It was really not a lot of fun. She tried her heart out though. She sure made some progress. So bring it in. Wait on her. She got a little bit. There we go. Hind, front, hind, front, hind, front, hind, front, hind, front. There we go. Just bring her around. Do all these different things with her. There, she got a little kiltered, so I wait on her. I didn't force that turn there because I felt she was a little out of balance, and I waited on her. I'm going to bring this, ask her for just a little bit more softness. She can't give me full vertical flexion. That's all right. Wait on her. Not asking her to go backwards. She'll get there. There we go. Okay. And then again, beginning, there's no way I could do this without her falling over. I don't care about lateral flexion, it's not that, but sometimes you might have to have them reach around and might have to fix something like I did earlier. And she likes a good pet, so I want to be able to reach around, get something out of her mouth. She couldn't do this before without falling. Now I'm going to do it to her right side, and here she's a little off balance, so I'm going to see if I can help her. There you go. As soon as she realized I could pet her when she was around here, she tried a little harder. There you go. Lots of scratches and rubs. That's my girl, huh? So, what else? Oh, you should be able to take your tassels and, you know, swing her around just like you do everything else, or whatever you want to do. Move around, adjust. She should just stand here nice and calm. I know you want to adjust too, huh? And then when she's really good, and she did pretty all right there, especially after the last 2 days where she was having fun, then I'll get ready to dismount. Take this, make sure it's not on the horn. Let's pull it over here. Now I help her a little bit. I let her know I'm getting off. I'll step up, stay balanced, and get down. Give her a nice rub. Now, best I can, I wait for her a second, because I don't want her to get in the habit of, you get off and walk away. I want her to get in the habit of, I get off and she stands there. If he needs to change that later for some sort of something, he can. But most, for, if he needs to heel, or if he's bulldogging on her or something like that, he might need her to do something else. But in the meantime, I don't want nothing worse than getting on a horse and then walking off, or getting off a horse and then walking off. Sometimes if she's having an uncomfortable day on her back or something, she has trouble standing still until I get off, and I take that into consideration again. And I just kind of let her wait until she's in a good spot, and if I really have to, I'll take her up to the rail and get off on the rail, because it's not a behavior thing with her, it's an actual owie thing. And when it's pain or something like that, I got the patience like crazy. It's not behavior. When she has behavior, like when she was in season, I don't take that into consideration as much. She doesn't have as much leeway on that kind of stuff. But when she's hurting or uncomfortable, a couple times she was growing really, really good, and her butt was way up in the air. And then I knew she was just uncomfortable. It was hurting her. I'm not going to force a horse that is in pain. I won't do it. Some people will. Some people think you should. I won't do it. That's just me. People get irritated with me sometimes because I'll take the time and wait for them instead of forcing them through it, thinking, well, this is what I said, you darn well better do it. And to a degree, you got to worry about that stuff, but not when they're hurting. It's not fair at all. You just want to shake, you can shake. So anyway, let me get this sweaty old saddle off of her, and hopefully she'll be doing all right, and her in her life. She has a lot of growing left to do. Make sure something's on. Had some bees in here earlier. One was like tickling her and she was upset about it, so make sure nothing's sitting on her. I don't see nothing sitting on her. So anyway, I can take this off of her. She's going to try and rub on me while I'm doing it. But she's come a long, long way. You can get it. I'm just going to take this off of her so she feels that she can go get that fly. I know, you got something on you, don't you? You got to wait for me, sweetheart. She got something else on her mind there. Something's getting her. So I'll let her know that she can kind of walk off here. She might not, but I'll let her know she can. And it's my mare talking to her up there. I don't see nothing on her. Yeah, she's learned that new trick and now she's all happy about it. Taught her how to back up by the tail. She's like, I know how to do this now. Anyway, she's doing really good. She has a long, long life ahead of her. Hopefully she does well. Thank you very much.